Tell me, Christine, do you like David Copperfield?
Oh, yes. I just love to see him perform amazing feats of illusion, levitation, and magic. Oh, especially in those billowy, open-chested shirts.
Then you'll love this TV special where he doesn't perform any magic at all and just walks around the Paris Opera House acting really badly.
Well, that doesn't sound like something I would love. Does he wear the billowy shirt? Oh.
Beneath the opera house, he's always there. He watches phantom films down in his lair. And though he's struggling to make it late, the phantom reviewer will watch each version's
This, along with my 8mm copy of The Hypnotist, is one of my most prized rare possessions. In fact, I think I'm one of the few people on the planet who have actually seen it. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because this may be one of the most ridiculous pieces of celluloid ever to hold the name of Phantom of the Opera. And considering the other films we've been looking at, that's really saying something. The whole concept's just weird. I think it's meant to be like a mockumentary, you know, a fake documentary like the BBC's Ghostwatch or the Blair Witch Project. Why is David Copperfield presenting a documentary about the Phantom anyway?
My name is David Copperfield, and as a magician I've been fascinated with the strange legend of the Phantom who haunts the Paris Opera House. Ever since I can recall, I've shared the Phantom's great passion for magic and illusion.
Okay, am I the only one who thinks that link is a bit tenuous? It's like, hi, I'm Nigel Kennedy, and like Sherlock Holmes I love playing the violin, which makes me ideally suited to tell you all about the life story of Arthur Conan Doyle.
The French writer Gaston Leroux was the first person to pursue the Phantom legend. In 1911, it was Leroux who brought the Phantom story to life in his book, The Phantom of the Opera. Leroux wrote a classic tale of Gothic horror, one that stands on a par with Dracula and Frankenstein. But with one noticeable difference. Leroux claimed the Phantom story was based on facts.
Based on fact? Yeah, right. So Copperfield explores this flawed theory by visiting the Paris Opera House to see what he can find. The only really cool thing about this program is that when it came out in 1991, I was just getting into collecting Phantom movies, and as I've said in my Cheney review, I just couldn't get hold of most of them for love nor money. However, this show features extensive scenes from both the Cheney and Raines movie, so it was the first time I ever had the chance to see any of these films other than in still pictures. It also shows you what a good job Photoplay did with their restoration.
This extraordinary 1925 silent picture has spawned at least 5 movie remakes, and its influence is plainly seen in the current, hugely successful stage musical in London and New York. It immediately brought back to me the great staircase scene in Cheney's version of The Phantom, one of the first color sequences ever filmed.
Copperfield goes exploring the Opera House, having flashbacks to the Cheney movie and telling us about the opera's history. To be fair, this is fairly interesting and informative stuff.
I wanted to see some of the actual places which featured in the Phantom story, but rather than torture the night watchman with my schoolboy French, it seemed a good idea to find my own way.
What? You didn't want to torture him with your schoolboy French? Have you heard this guy's French?
Monsieur, the theatre is closed for the season. There is nobody here.
There is nobody here.
Monsieur, be careful.
Copperfield's grilling him about this ghostly, mysterious voice he's heard. Could it be the voice of Christine?
It was strange. The voice had a haunting sound, as though it belonged to the past, as though it were trapped in here.
So Copperfield does some investigation of his own and goes looking for Christine's dressing room.
I know this sounds bizarre, but I almost expected to walk into the Phantom, in the flesh, at any moment. Christine Day, This was the young singer the Phantom abducted in LaRue's novel. The woman he killed for. The woman, in all likelihood, he killed.
Come again? In all likelihood, the Phantom probably killed Christine. What? On what basis is he making that assumption? The book? Well, no, because Christine escapes in the book. And there's no historical Christine, even though he tries to make out that there is. And yet he mentions that she vanished forever and never returned, which also contradicts the book. I don't know how many megapixels cameras had back in the 19th century, but isn't this photo rather high quality? This scene is also ridiculous.
Incredibly, it was as if nothing had been changed. It felt as if I'd stepped back 100 years in time. Once again, I could feel someone or something watching me. It was her. Christine, the girl in the photo. Raoul.
I'm not sure whether the correct pronunciation is Raoul or Raoul, but why do we have two pronunciations in the same scene?
Raoul.
Couldn't they at least pick one and be consistent? It's the same with the pronunciation of Daye. Is it Christine Day or Daye? Daye seems to be the most common pronunciation, but David Copperfield pronounces it Day, so I don't know, whatever.
Christine Day.
Funny how the cameraman has captured the best evidence yet of ghosts, but no one cares. And look how he takes it all in his stride. Look, he's grinning. It's like he just couldn't be bothered to act. It's like, la la la, I'm so rich, I'm getting paid to do this garbage. If you think this scene is weird, then that's nothing, because the program just enters the Twilight Zone from here on in.
I didn't even know what year I was in, or even what century.
I shall now make my acting abilities disappear.
The eyes staring at me had that fixed, awful, glazed look of death.
That's because he is dead, Dave.
I was beginning to wonder if I was going crazy. Things were happening so fast, my imagination was in overdrive. I didn't know what to expect next.
Gaston Leroux, monsieur.
Now I knew I was crazy. Gaston Leroux, the author of The Phantom of the Opera.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Monsieur, you believe in ghosts?
I think I'm starting to.
Ah, an American.
I hardly heard a word he said. I kept thinking, how could I be speaking with a man 100 years back?
Oh, bless this program's brief moments of clarity.
Somehow I'd slipped through a loophole in time, impossible as it seemed.
What he's talking about is called time-slip phenomenon, but yes, it does sound unlikely, Dave. What's even more unlikely is that your team of cameramen just happened to have been whisked back in time as well. But you never mention that or speak to them, do you? You just carry on as if it's a normal program. This is for real. Wouldn't there be some major freakouts going on?
Think about it. I couldn't understand why the Phantom would want to kill a simple stagehand. It didn't make sense.
Neither does this program, but never mind.
I'd like to find out more about the Phantom.
One must make provisions for the guests of one's country.
Incredibly, I found myself on a conducted tour with the Phantom's prime investigator, Gaston Leroux, in person.
So Copperfield just goes along with it. I've travelled 100 years back into the past, and I'm going to go along with Gaston Leroux and also completely forget about the dead body on the floor. Yeah, I'm sure the cleaners will sort it out. Leroux takes Copperfield on a walkabout, explaining scenes from his book as he goes. Like here, he mentions the scene in the book where the Phantom steals the money from a locked room. That's one scene that never really makes it into any movies. Now, I've no idea whether or not this is genuinely a room in the opera house or a set, but if it's real, that's pretty cool that there's a trapdoor there.
One of the Phantom's many secret trapdoors hidden throughout the opera.
What happened to her and her lover? Were they ever found?
You're getting ahead of me, monsieur.
I decided to suspend disbelief for the moment.